Welcome to NARPM Radio, your source for property management practices and ideas to help your career, delivered to fit your busy schedule. NARPM Radio. Get tuned in.
Welcome to NARPM Radio. I'm Lisa Noon with NARPM. I'm here today with Nick Shirman, who is Manager of Strategic Partnerships for MyHealthly.com. They are a company that provides a portal for NARPM's health insurance for our members. So, Nick, start out with telling us a little bit about the program, would you?
Absolutely. So we work with associations across the United States, just like NARPM, to help members find health insurance coverage. What we find is that, small businesses across the U.S. are really struggling these days, especially with COVID. And one of the biggest places where that's evident is in health insurance coverage. What we try and do is bring big business benefits down to the small group level. We do that a couple of different ways, most notably by providing plans that would typically be available only to large groups of 100 or more, down to groups as small as 2 in many states.
You also do provide individual coverage, though. Is that correct?
We do in certain states. Individual coverage and individual coverage laws tend to change state by state.
Okay. So the best thing to do if you're looking for individual coverage would be what?
So if you're looking for individual coverage, my recommendation is to go through your local state exchange. There are some outside the box type options as well. We work with a company called Sidecar that does a really interesting major medical, I'd like to call it a major medical alternative that operates in states across the southeastern U.S. typically.
And that's available to NARPM members?
Absolutely.
All right. So I imagine maybe just calling you to find out what's available in the state and then what's available through possibly the Sidecar option would be the thing to do for individuals.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about what you expect to see this year in healthcare coverage with the new administration now in place. Any changes our members should be aware of?
Yeah, so likely won't affect NARPM as much, but what we expect is that the older association health plan model that was expanded quite a bit under President Trump is likely to go away. Last year, there was 11 states across the U.S. that challenged it in court and were able to get it reversed. Association health plans are a great chance for associations to band people together to get better rates. The problem is that tends to take people out of the risk pool, especially healthy people out of the risk pool, and means that state rates go up. So we expect that those will probably be disallowed going forward. We've already seen the open enrollment period extended for a special enrollment period. That's really great if you're an individual looking for coverage, especially given everything that we've seen with COVID. It's a good chance for you to go on your state exchange and pick up something, whether it's short-term or long-term, to get you from here to the next spot.
I'm glad you brought that up because there's been a fair amount of discussion lately in the media about short-term health coverage. Can you explain a little bit about what that is?
Sure. I think sometimes short-term health coverage can be explained maybe not as clearly as would be best. So short-term health coverage is great for if you've been laid off or you're in between jobs, or maybe if you're a college student and you need just kind of bare minimum coverage to get you through a very small period of time. So another spot we see it very often is people who are in between kind of retirement and being on Medicare, just that stopgap type option. So there's some really good things about short-term coverage. It has lower premiums than your typical individual policy. It's flexible in that you can, do very, very short periods up to, I think the lowest is a 30-day plan in certain states, dependent on the state. There's some pretty big drawbacks though. So all short-term plans don't have to follow by any of the ACA rules. There are a couple of those that are really important. So there's no essential benefits in a short-term plan, meaning that it's really just for catastrophic coverage to make sure that if you have some sort of major hospitalization, you're not stuck holding a giant bill. but there's no maternity coverage. There's a bunch of other kind of ones that get left out there. There's very little, if any, prescription coverage, which can be a huge pain for people. And often what happens is these plans are offered and people don't realize what is or is not included, and they get stuck at the end of the day with less benefit than they had believed that they were getting when it's far too late at that point. So some other things to be aware of is with short-term health plans, they'll typically have a max benefit, and often that's not clearly outlined. Max benefit means that that's the maximum that a company is willing to pay out, no matter what, during that plan year or plan duration. So, for instance, there have been quite a few cases of people who have come down with COVID who are on short-term health plans. Their health bill, when they went to the emergency room, was over $100,000, and their short-term plan only covered up to the first $50,000, meaning that, again, they're stuck holding the remainder of that balance, or what we call balance billing.
That's certainly not good. So if we had a member who thought that a short-term health plan was a good option for them, are you able to provide that?
That's not something we do at this time, simply because we found that there wasn't enough transparency around the health plans that were being offered in the short-term market. We are looking to build some more of those options, but we want to make sure that people know short-term health should only be kind of a last-ditch effort, making sure that you have a plan to get off of that as quickly as possible. It's also not allowed in quite a few states. The regulations change state to state. So if you live in Maine, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Vermont, Colorado, New Mexico, California, or Hawaii, there are no short-term plans available in your state. If you live in Wisconsin, Kansas, Ohio, South Carolina, or Louisiana, the longest amount of time you can be on a short-term plan is 3 months. There's only 22 states currently that'll let you go on for a full year, and at that point, they'll only let you go on for 3 cycles. And each year, the plan is re-underwritten, meaning that if you end up with a condition during that first year, it's no longer covered the second year that you're on a short-term plan. So again, my best advice is for people who are looking for short-term plans, have some sort of an out path. Make sure that it's a stopgap solution and that you have a long-term strategy that's a little bit more comprehensive. Did that answer your question?
Thank you. It does. Thank you. So if a member of ours is looking for health insurance, obviously they can go to the website, which is propertymanagershealthcare.com. What else can they do? It sounds like it might be good for a member to actually talk to somebody to get any of these other questions clarified as far as what's available in their state or what type of option they should be looking for and so on. What do you suggest?
Yeah, absolutely. I would suggest going to the website, propertymanagershealthcare.com, and on that site, you'll see a little button to schedule a one-on-one with one of our trusted advisors. What they can do is walk you through all of the different coverage options that are available for you and your family or your group or whatever you're looking for, help direct you to, even if it's not something that's on our platform, whatever is going to be the best option for you. It's our goal to make sure that everyone we work with is getting the best possible coverage. And if that means telling members sometimes, hey, we think you'd be best served going in this direction without us, we're willing to do that because, again, it's important to protect these small businesses across the U.S.
That's great. That's good news. So hopefully our members will give you guys a call and get the information they need so that they'll get the right plan, the right policy for themselves or for their family or for their office, depending on what their needs are. Nick, what other information do you have that might be helpful for our members today?
So if you are looking for a short-term plan or some kind of a stopgap solution, I recommend pairing it with some additional benefits, and that's going to be a lot better for your out-of-pocket long-term. So if you go to our website, you'll find our Prosper Benefits Suite, and that is zero copay telemedicine, which is really great, especially if you're in that in-between time period. You don't need to go to a doctor and wait. You don't need to spend $20 on a copay, or if you don't have a copay. There's also medical bill advocacy and health advocacy that can walk you through any sort of procedure you would need to have. In addition to that, we also offer a pharmacy savings card, and that's free for all NARPM members, whether or not you receive any other coverage through us. So if you're interested in finding out about some free prescription savings, which can be great to pair with your current health plan, or if you're in between jobs, or if you have a short-term health plan especially, you can email Kate, that's C-A-T-E, at myhealthily.com. And in the subject line, just put prescription savings. We work with a company called CleverRx, and they're a really, really unique and innovative company that has negotiated lower rates on prescriptions across the United States and can help you shop for whatever the best option is going to be. I actually use them even in times when I have coverage. I find that sometimes it beats out using my copay, in fact.
That sounds great. All right, anything else?
One other thing I would throw in, often the reason why people are seeing short-term health plans promoted these days is because it's an in for brokers to offer what's called an Icra, which is the individual coverage health reimbursement arrangement. It's basically where an employer will, instead of choosing a plan for their employees, they give a certain amount of money and then the employee can shop on their own. That sounds like a great idea. The issue there is that the individual market is always going to be significantly more expensive than the group market. The more you can bring people together on plans, the better you can negotiate rates because you spread out risk. So one of the reasons why we're hearing a lot of noise around short-term plans currently is because it's kind of an attempt to steer people away from the traditional group plans that we've seen for so long.
All right, good to know. Thank you for that tip. Nick, thank you. We really appreciate your time today, and we look forward to sharing more information about the healthcare solution for our members in future podcasts.
Thanks for listening to NARPM Radio. For more details on today's subject, refer to the show notes or visit narpm.org, and we'll see you next time on NARPM Radio.